known as Ray. He is no longer alive. There it is. They now call him X-Ray. Are there any questions on here anyone would like me to do? Okay, hearing nothing. Raven, now you're back. Get your stuff out. What should you not do if you want to help get rid of graffiti? What you should not do is sign a partition. The reason this is funny is because it's a play on the words petition. Now, a petition is something you would actually sign. It's a piece of paper. People go around, they get signatures if you want something to change. A partition is a wall. So you should not, if you want to get rid of graffiti, you should not write on a wall, is what this is saying. It's hilarious. Are there any questions in here anyone would like me to do? Going once. Twice. Thrice. Number 13. 13 is the worst question on here. Let's do it. Now, we want to be careful how we approach things like this. What we've got here is 11 minus bracket 3x minus 6. So we're subtracting this entire polynomial plus 2 times 4x plus 5 minus x. That's what's going on here. When there's nothing written between the 2 and the bracket, it means you're multiplying. When there's a minus sign out front, we're going to distribute it. And when we're multiplying, we distribute as well. So how I would show my work is by doing that and by doing this. And then I would go forth and actually do that work. Now, the 11 doesn't change, so I'm going to leave my 11 there. When I distribute that negative onto 3x minus 6, negative 3x is just going to be minus 3x, and negative 6 is going to be plus 6, plus, now I'm going to multiply this 2 in, distributing it onto all of the terms. 2 times 4x is plus 8x. 2 times positive 5 is plus 10 minus x. And now we're going to group our like terms. 11, 6, and 10, all positive. Grouping those like terms is going to give us 27. Good. That's boom, boom, and boom. Negative 3x, positive 8x, and negative x are going to give us negative 3x, positive 8x, and a negative x. It's going to be positive 4x. Because it's negative 3 plus 8 is positive 5. Minus 1 is positive 4. So we want 27 plus 4x. Or 4x plus 27. Those are the same thing. This is in the right order. So number 13 should be letter R, and lo, there it was, thusly R. Okay. Good question, Raven. Or Dilkaran. I can't remember who asked the question. Okay, if there's nothing else, flip the page. Last one. What did the Spanish farmer say to his chicken? The Spanish farmer said, did anyone do it? Ole. Okay. It means he wants his chickens to lay eggs. It's also a Spanish phrase of, I don't know what it means. But it's like, ole. Yeah. It's like a Spanish exclamation. So, that was your task on Thursday. If you did it, fantastic. If you didn't, deep shame. If you didn't do it because you were away, well, that's understandable. I would like to thank the one person who did what I asked them to do last Thursday and came in to write their missing quiz from last week Wednesday. That person who shall remain nameless, but the people who shall not remain nameless are the people who didn't show up. Ruben, Oliver, Japneet, Juno, Rain, Caitlin, who may have been away, Charlie, and Jackson, and Liam, and Marcus. No, I told you to come on Monday at lunch to write the quiz you missed on Wednesday.
Did you actually?
Yeah. If you were here on Thursday, I asked you to come today at lunch.
I do not remember that.
Well,
Did you actually?
I did. So come tomorrow. I want you to write that quiz that we wrote on Wednesday because you're writing me a chapter test on Thursday, and I want you to see this stuff.
There's no way.
There was a quiz last week Wednesday, and on Thursday I asked you to come today.
I thought it was last week Monday because I missed it.
Okay, here we go. So find me this page.
Oh yeah, no, it was on Wednesday because I booked.
Dividing polynomials.
Can I get
I'm
one
going to
now?
do 3 examples. Not leaving. Get your stuff out.
I'll be like 2 minutes. I will sprint there and sprint back.
Okay, so we're looking at dividing a polynomial by a monomial. As you guys progress in math, you will divide them by larger and larger things, but today this is it. So it is really quite straightforward. To divide a polynomial by a monomial, what we're going to do is we're going to divide corresponding pieces. It's going to look a lot like the exponent law stuff, with one extra little twist. So when you have a monomial and a monomial, it's stuff we've already done. We divide the numbers by the numbers, including those coefficients. If they don't divide cleanly, for example, this first one, 8 divided by 2 will go cleanly. 8 divided by 2 is? But if it was 8 over 6, that would not divide cleanly. What would we do if this was like 8 over 6? We'd simplify or reduce the fraction, you bet. So we're going to write in here, dividing the numbers by numbers also means reducing any fractions that are not divisible.
It says less than 6 and less than 6.
Step 2 then is to divide the variables by the variables using rule 2 from our exponent laws. When dividing powers with the same base, what do we do with the exponents? We subtract them. Good. The only new piece to this is that when you have a binomial or a trinomial or any larger polynomial in the numerator, you have to make sure you divide each term by whatever your monomial is. That's the only extra piece here. So I'm going to do 3 examples and we're going to call it. First one is this. I got 8x squared divided by 2x. So just like when we had this is exactly the kind of question I gave. A really simple version of a question I gave you on your exponents unit test. I've got 8x squared over 2. And again, we want to isolate each piece. I've got 8 divided by 2 is?
4.
X squared divided by x is? If you're going to use your exponent laws, this x is technically x to the power of what? 1. So you could write it as x to the 2 minus 1, which would be x to the 1. But when there is a 1, you do not have to write it. This is the accepted, generally, final answer. Now we can check our work. How would we check our work? Does anyone want to take a guess?
Calculator.
Who said that? Multiply what, Gershon? Multiply this guy with what we were dividing by before. If you can multiply these two things together and get what was in the numerator, your answer over here is correct. So let's do this. What is 2x times 4x? How do we multiply polynomials together? Well, I mean, there's only one term here. It's not like there's not a lot of distributing. If it's just one term times one term, yeah, you multiply the corresponding pieces. 2 times 4 is? X times x is? So because we got the numerator back, that means this must have been correct. So I want to make a note of what we did there. We checked by multiplying our solution by the denominator. Now here's the only other piece we're going to add. The piece that we're going to add is that if you have multiple terms, we need to make sure that every term in the numerator gets divided by the denominator. So let's zoom in on this guy and take a look at this. To make sure this gets done properly, what I'm going to tell you guys to do is rewrite the question. And what we want to do is we want to rewrite every term in the numerator over the denominator. So 8x squared plus 4x is going to become 8x over, or 8x squared over, and because we're adding in the middle, we're going to add right there, 4x over, and then both of these terms are going to get this. Jackson, I want you taking notes with me here. No, you're not. The pencil's lying down and your head's on your desk. Both of those fractions get our original denominator underneath. It's a common denominator. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking this up into two fractions added together. And now each one of these is just what we just did. What is 8 divided by negative 2? Thank you. What is x squared divided by x? Or x to the 1, sorry, x squared divided by x to the 1. Well, that's just going to be x to the 1, and we don't have to write the 1. Now, what is 4 divided by negative 2? Negative 2. And that's going to be the sign now that we have there in the middle. So we get 4x minus 2, and x divided by x is? No. X divided by x is not 0. It is 1. Anything divided by it would be x to the 0, and Gershon, anything to the power of 0 is 1. So you want to be careful not to combine those rules. This piece here is going to equal 1. So technically this is going to become negative 2 times 1. But anything times 1 is itself. And so it's just gone. So then this becomes our solution to this question. And now we can check it. What is negative 2x times negative 4x minus 2? Well, now, because we've got multiple terms in here, we're going to distribute. What is negative 2x times negative 4x? Negative 2 times negative 4 is? Positive 8. And x times x is? X to the 2. Sorry. And then negative 2 times negative 2, because again, you have to include the sign out front of each term. Negative 2x times negative 2 is? Positive 4. And that x from this term needs to come along to the end. Is this what we started with? You bet it is. So that means this answer is correct. That's it. There is no more to this lesson than that. The only other thing I could do to mess with you is let's go down to the bottom left corner. Actually, the left middle. Let's go left middle. Tweak this question ever so slightly just to show you how it could behave if I add one more little detail. I'm going to extend that line. I want you to put brackets around the numerator. And we're going to toss the number 2 out front. Because I'm trying to give you the skills that for things you're going to see, Juno. That's why I'm like this.
But what if no?
See, Juno, would you rather I do this having not previously shown it to you? Because I could do that. That would be mean.
Then we could have a reason to fail.
Yeah, then there might be a reason, but there isn't. I don't, so there's not. Yes, Raven. I mean, this is being able to manipulate polynomials like this. Yeah, it makes solving larger, more practical problems doable. Like there's all So much of Math 9 isn't, oh, you're going to do this in the grocery store as as you're shopping for whatever. But in grade 9, most of you don't necessarily know what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And so all of our high school curriculum builds you towards being able to be exposed to something called calculus, which governs like all areas of our life. Whether you realize it or not, calculus is fundamental to our existence in the universe. So we teach you a bunch of skills for those of you who are going to need to do stuff like that. Anyone who studies science at university is going to require this to some level. Anyone who's doing business courses to a degree, like economics, needs this kind. Like you have to have. There's some fundamental algebra skills you need to have. So that's what this is. So the only extra snag to something like this is that when you've got something multiplied by something and it's all buried in the numerator, no division can happen until the numerator has been simplified. So if I give you something like this, what you need to do is simplify the numerator first. And just because it looks bad, Juno, doesn't mean it is. What would I do with the numerator? Gershon? I distribute that 2 in because there's 2 other terms in that numerator. I got brackets there, so I'm just going to multiply the 2 in everywhere. And Gershon, what am I going to get? So that's my new numerator. I just did this multiplication. And now I'm going to divide each piece by our denominator. So I'm going to toss a 5 and a 5. It's only one extra step. Now, I could have made this a binomial and we'd be foiling things. That'd be great. But again, something you could do because you just need to make sure you multiply every term in the first by every term in the second, gather your like terms, and then divide every term by the denominator. So we've got one last step here. What is negative 50x squared divided by 5? Negative 10x squared. What is positive 30 divided by 5? Positive 6. And we're done. And that's all there is to this stuff. That's the last example I'm going to do. Here is what I'm going to get you guys to do. You may. As long as while you're working on the boards, every person at the board has a pen, and everyone with a pen is actually doing something on the whiteboard. If I see anyone just standing watching someone else work, you're going to come work with me. And I will watch you, or you'll work with Shobit, or I shouldn't say that because that's what you want to work with. You actually need, if you're on the whiteboards, you need to actually be involved in the process. Okay, so I want you to start here, and I want you to go, and I want you to write, and I want you to do until you get to the end of the booklet. The rest of the booklet is fair game now. There's one thing I need to tweak. I want you to find here page number 10 upside down on the bottom. Hey, guys, stop moving. Question number 10, or page 10, here at the bottom. There's a typo on question 5. Stop calling for Rabin. I want you to find me this page. It's page 10. At the bottom, upside down. 5 should be 9x squared plus 3, not 3x plus 3. 9x plus 3 is what that answer should be. There was a typo. And the rest of this is fair game. On your market set giver. Yes, ma'am. Jackson, you may go get a drink. When Jackson gets back, you may go to the washer.